Good day, everyone. Today I am going to share and discuss to you in a deeper sense the flow charting topic in programming, right? Because when your program or if the programming problem needs a lot of analysis, um, flow charting will comes in, right? And sometimes or most of the times, when you are to explain the flow of your program, it's good to use some graphical presentations by way of showing the flow chart, right? So that's what I'm going to show you and discuss today. All right, so I hope the end of this video I will be able to discuss in detail as to what is flowcharting, and along the way I can give some examples which I tend to get out from the internet, right? Okay, and if you have some questions, please feel free to do some comments for me to create another video again about the flowcharting. Okay? So what I'm going to discuss today on flowcharting is actually a continuation of my discussion on the previous video about flowcharting. It's going to be a more detailed and I'll be giving examples, right? Okay. So and I would like to again focus on the basic flowcharting because I want you to make use of flowcharting in as much as C programming language is concerned. And as of today, we are only up to for loops, nested for loops, right? Loop state. So we'll try to limit symbols of flowchart on the basic level for now, right? So here. Uh, I did use this program miss.com. Okay. Uh, right. There are actually several symbols in flowchart that we are going to use. The number one is this one, flow line. But by the way, according to this programmist.com, a flowchart is a diagrammatic representation of an algorithm. Okay, so meaning when you are to use flowchart, you're good as you're trying to discuss or to show it to the people or to somebody the program that you have in a graphical way, right? The algorithm, the logic of your program can be well presented and clear enough on the layman's viewing, right? By way of the flowchart. A flowchart can be helpful for both writing a program and explaining the program to others. Okay? So, graphical representation or presentation. Now, there are some basic symbols in flowcharting, which I did discuss this in my previous video, but I would just like to repeat it here. This is the flow line, all right? It indicates the flow of logic by connecting the symbols. It connects the symbols and it shows the flow as to where your program is going. Okay, that's flow line. The next one is the stop and start box or the terminal box. This one. So this is actually the starting point and the ending point of your program. It represents the start and the end of a flowchart. And then the next one is this one. This is actually in some other books, they call this as display box, but in here this is an input output box. You can use this display box or input output box symbol in scanf, printf, gets, puts, getcar, putcar. Those are inputs and output statements, okay, used for input and output operation. This one is the process box, used for arithmetic operations and data manipulations. All formulas, all assignment statements, even the declaration of the variables, right? You can place that on the process box. Okay, so that's it. And then this one is the decision box. Okay, um, decision box is used for decision making between two or more alternatives. If there's this decision evaluating a particular condition, whether it is true or false, then that box will be used, right? So, for example, if you have these conditional statements, if else, nested if, right? Switch statement, you'll be using that decision box. If you have this do while, for loops, while loop, nested for loops, you'll be using that because it takes decisions, right? And this one, the last basic symbol of flowchart which I'm going to add is this one, on-page connector. It is being used to join different flow lines, meaning if your flowchart is big and it cannot be placed in one bond paper, for example, so you can use connector. That's connector symbol to connect your flowchart to another page, right? So that's it. We have this basic symbol, and never mind some other symbols. Now here, I have an examples of flowchart in programming. A program to add two numbers entered by the user. So when you say entered by the users, meaning we'll be using scanf. We'll be using input and output statement, right? So what is then the flowchart? So this is it. You start, right? Then you make use of this flow line and you declare the variables, by the way. By the way, this is optional. You can either declare your variables in here in your flowchart or you cannot, then that's okay. This is optional. This is not actually needed. But for your flowchart to be so much, so detailed, and the user can look at it, can understand the variables that you're trying to use, then it's good also to declare your variables in here. So declare variables in one and in two and sum. So you'll be using along the way within your program these three variables in one, in two, and sum, and then followed by the flow lines pointing to the next. By the way, this is what? This is a display box, right? We'll be using scanf in here. Scanf in one, scanf in two, because we'll be asking values from the keyboard. And whatever is that value, that will be stored to in one and in two respectively. Okay? And then flow lines going down. What is this? Formula. We are trying to add whatever is in one plus in two and stored it to sum. This is what? This is a process box. Alright? Going back, this is a process box. And when you are to ask values, you will be using this input-output box. Okay? So, here. This is an input-output box. This is a process box because this is a formula. All manipulation arithmetic expressions will be placed in here. So we'll be storing in 1 plus in 2 here. And move down by flow lines. Then display whatever is the value of sum. Right? So this is what, again, this is not a process box, though it looks like, but this is an input-output box. This must be a little bit slide in here. Right? So display box. And then that's the termination of your program. Stop. Okay? So your program declares in one, into, and sum as variables, then ask for in one and into, and whatever the value of in one and into, that will be added up and stored into sum, and after that display whatever is the value of sum and end. That's what. Add two numbers entered by the user. Okay, so it's very simple, right? So when we are going to create that program in here, so simple, right? For example, right? Include. We'll just do it in here na lang, online. Okay. So I hope my internet is okay. Basta take note, okay? Our program will ask for two values, then get the sum and display the sum. So hopefully, my online compiler is not down, and okay. stop working. Anyway, we'll just start it here. Include, right, stdio.h, and then int main. By the way, int main is not part of the flowchart. Right. And then we tend to declare variables, right? In1, in2, and sum. Can you still remember? And then input and output box. We'll try to display first what? It's okay. Here. So we'll try to erase this one, and we'll declare in1, right? In2 and sum. Are you following? And then printf, enter two values, right? And then scanf %d, all right, ampersand in1. You're following? And then scanf why %d? Because it's in1 is an what? It's an integer variable, right? So after getting in1 and in2, what's next? After getting in1 and in2, I hope you're following my mouse pointer. You get the sum of in1 and in2. So get the sum. So sum is equal to whatever is your in1 plus your in2. What's next? After getting the sum, display. So display, to display is what? You printf sum is followed by %d, and then whatever is the value of sum. Then next, stop. So this is it, return 0, and we'll try clicking the run command. See, it is now asking for two values. Say for example 4, and then 3, sum is 7, right? So by just looking at the flowchart, you can then convert it into a program. Okay, so for me, it is more easy than by just directly doing programming based on this programming problem, right? So that's it. So most of the times you'll be needing flowchart for your analysis of the problem. So one last example, and I will end this video. Design a program to find the largest among the three different numbers entered by the user. Okay, so if you can remember, we have this sample program, right? Okay, and then we tend to ask for, look at this. Our program will be using A, B, and C. Declare it as an integer variables. Then the flow line is pointing down. It is actually what? It's an input-output box. We'll be asking for the value of A, B, and C. Then followed by a condition. This is an if condition. If A is greater than B, if this condition is true, then another condition, meaning nested. This is nested if. Another condition. So this is now what? This is now the elimination process, if you can remember. When you are to determine the greatest or the lowest part, you'll be using elimination process. So if this condition is true, B is being eliminated, right? B is being eliminated. And check, is your A is still greater than C? If this is the case, then your A is has the greatest value. If false, then your C has the greatest value. Are you following? Alright? Okay? So, in here, if this condition is false, right? Another condition, missed it. It's an else condition. Eliminate A. right? Because your B is greater than A in this case because the condition is false. So another condition, is your B still greater than C? If that is the case, then your B has the greatest value. If false, then C has the greatest value. Then your program is stuck. Okay? So based on this program, what is then? So based on this flowchart, what is then the program? Okay, we will try to translate. We will try to translate. Okay, let's see if we can create a program that each, right, and then um, int main, all right, sorry, okay, we'll be declaring what, variables a, b, and c, right? So a, b, and c. Next, what's next? Read, meaning scan f, get the value of a, b, and c. Get three values. So print if, right, enter three values, right? I will be using backslash n to move the cursor to the next line, and then we'll do some scan if in here, right? %t, I'm sorry, ampersand a, okay, and just try to copy this one, b, okay, and c, right? So what's next? After asking for, okay, I hope you're following my cursor or mouse pointer. After asking for a, b, and c, then check the condition if a is greater than b. Okay, so if what, a is greater than b, okay, so if this condition is true, look at this, if this condition is true, another condition, if a is greater than c. Okay, so you'll be asking if a is greater than c. Okay, so if this condition is true, now this is now the nested if. Okay, this is now the nested if. Printf what? If this condition is true, print a, right? So print the value of a. So print a. We'll just the highest value is %d, okay, then a. We'll be displaying the value of a. If this condition is true, check another condition. If this is true, display. Okay, going back in here, if this is true, another condition. If this is true, display. What if this condition is false? Display print c. Alright, display print c. So meaning, if this condition is false, right, display, instead of a, you'll be displaying c. Okay, so we're done with this condition, this condition, and this condition, and this one, right? So the left side of the flowchart, if this condition is false, if a is not greater than b, right? If this condition is false in the flowchart, what is the flow line? It goes in here and check if b is greater than c. All right, so if this condition is false, this is the curly bracket and this one, so we'll be placing in here an else portion. Okay, are you following? So this is now the else portion, and we will be checking if what is the condition. We'll try to check if b is greater than c. if B is what? Greater than C. If this condition is true, okay, if this condition is true, print B. Okay, print B. So you'll be printing B, right? Now, going back in here, if this condition is false, print C. So meaning if this condition is false, print C. Alright? And what's next? Stop. Okay, stop. So to stop means to return 0. Why? Because I am using in main. Okay? This program is based on this flowchart. I just borrowed it from programmis.com. Alright? So I hope this program will run. Oh. So it is now asking for the three values. So 2, 3, and 4. The highest value is 4. Alright? So meaning the program is correct. And the flowchart, of course, is correct. So 4, 3, and 2. Let's see. The highest value is 4. Alright? So that's a good thing with flowchart. Okay, you can just be just looking at right the problem. You can create flowchart, and from the flowchart you can translate it to a program. So in here, so simpler, but in your level right now, the way I look at it, you find it hard in analyzing and creating a flowchart based on the problem. But as you tend to expose yourselves to flowcharting, you'll get better and better, and eventually you can use these techniques in your programming journey. Okay, so I hope I was able to explain the good thing with flowcharting, and I hope I was able to share my knowledge in flowcharting and in programming, C in particular. Okay, so if you find it hard to digest, feel free to do some comments for me to create another video again to address your concern. Okay, so thank you so much for now. God bless us. God is good.